Hi guys, it's Little Gem from Little Gem's Adventures. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I planned for my trip to New Zealand. So during my last year of university in 2017, I thought I wanted to travel and I wanted to travel New Zealand. Initially, I was actually going to travel New Zealand on my own. I first of all looked up work abroad programs, and I looked at Gap 360, Real Gap, STA, Bunak, I think it's called. I was looking at all these different programs and thinking that I wanted to work abroad for a whole year. I wasn't really fully looking into it because, to be honest, I wasn't 100% if I was going to do it. Then midway through 2017 I was like, you know what, I can go back to New Zealand whenever I want and work there whenever I want, so I might as well travel first. I started actually looking up itineraries, like STA itineraries, where everything is already planned for you. I wasn't 100% on travelling by myself and backpacking by myself on the other side of the world for the first ever time. I'd actually only ever gone to one hostel and stayed for one night, so I didn't even know what hostels were like really or what to expect. I felt a lot safer going in a group. I was pretty much set on the STA travel itinerary that I found. It was a month long, I think, and I thought, actually I might look up the bus passes that are there, because I know that there are loads of bus passes. I started looking up Stray, Kiwi Experience, Intercity, but I knew that Intercity wasn't as much as a tour as Kiwi Experience and Stray was, so I mainly started looking at Kiwi Experience. What I did from then on is I made my dream book. New Zealand, I didn't think it was going to be a reality that I was going to go there. I thought it was going to be a dream. And I started writing in my book. I had the work programs on there. And what I did is I actually put post-it notes of each place. I've also got the top 25 things to do from looking on TripAdvisor, their top 25 things to do in New Zealand. Then I had things to do in particular stop-off places that were on Kiwi Experience, and also places to stay as well, and that's obviously Hostelworld. Down here were some potential contacts because I wanted to be using tracks whilst I was there, and up here were locations of tracks and gyms. That was my dream book. Then at the start of 2018 I found out that Jess wanted to travel New Zealand and Australia too. I hadn't actually thought of travelling Australia, I had only thought of travelling New Zealand, so I hadn't really planned Australia, I'd only looked into New Zealand. Jess and myself met up, and the first things that we wanted to know was, when do you want to go? How long do you want to go for? How do you want to travel? And what activities do you want to do? Us being avid gym goers also wanted to know if each other wanted to go to the gym, which we did, and we went weekly when we were in New Zealand and Australia. That's one of the expenses that I didn't mention in my budgeting video. First up was, when did we want to go? Both of us were saying, right, it's 2018 in a minute, we probably want to go 2020 or end of 2019. So obviously we've got to save, and also we thought as well that we wanted to go in the Southern Hemisphere's summer. We decided that we wanted to go for 6 months, obviously that being when it's warmer, 3 months in New Zealand, 3 months in Australia. We went to New Zealand in October through to December. I actually think that that was a really good time. New Zealand's actual summer is December till February, but they are also the absolute peak times for tourism because that's the summer, and also because the New Zealand school holidays are then as well. October was a little bit colder, but I didn't mind that because it was a comfortable temperature. It wasn't too cold where I was freezing cold, and I had the layers anyway because New Zealand is renowned for being 4 seasons in one day. One thing that I really liked about traveling in October to December is when we were hiking, it wasn't too hot for us. Whereas I feel as though if we went in January and February, it would be way too hot. One thing as well is going in that period, October, although the Kiwi Experience actually had less buses running, you still had less people on it. In November, there were more buses timetabled in, and we had a few more people, but they weren't full. Whereas in December, we did actually have 1 or 2 buses that were completely full. And the only ones that weren't full, that didn't have many people, were our buses from Lake Tekapo to Christchurch and Christchurch to Kaikoura. But the reasons why these buses didn't actually have a lot of people on is because during that period, both Franz Josef and Lake Tekapo actually had floods, and so a lot of people were either stuck before Franz Josef or they were stuck in Queenstown. There wasn't that many people travelling from Lake Tekapo upwards at that point because they were all stuck beforehand. A lot of people travelled the Kiwi Experience buses in the minimum time, where they would only spend one night at a lot of places. I personally feel as though that is way too quick. Quite a few places we spent a week. We spent a week in Rotorua, Taupo, Wellington, Auckland, Queenstown, Christchurch. I think Christchurch was less than a week. But even in those areas, I felt as though there was a lot to do. The great thing about travelling with the Kiwi Experience is that we didn't actually have to plan the route, we picked the route. What I would suggest, however, is not to do the deep south route for the Kiwi Experience. There was not much point in us doing that. When we booked the Kiwi Experience pass, the deep south was to Dunedin and Invercargill, and it had just a stop off at Te Anau and then went to Milford Sound. Whereas when we were actually in New Zealand just 2 weeks before we were there, they changed the route. They completely cut off Dunedin, and we had an overnight stop in Invercargill, probably the worst place I've ever been to, and an overnight stop in Te Anau. And although Te Anau is really pretty, there's not a lot to do there, especially seeing as it's literally a stop off to then go to Milford Sound. But you can do the Milford Sound on the other passes anyway without doing the deep south. So personally, now I wouldn't do the deep south. If you can, I would still go to Dunedin. We actually went to Dunedin on an intercity bus from Invercargill and then went back to Invercargill, and I loved Dunedin. So that's all I have for you for now. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope I've given you a few pointers for New Zealand. See you next time. Bye.